Hello, everyone. I'm Moz, and this is Speaker Split, where I interview players vying to win AEL's Summer 2025 split. Today, I'm joined by Syndicate Jerry Watermelons, Trad. How's it going today?
It's going great. It's going great. I'm happy to be here, and yeah,
Happy to
hopefully we
have you
can,
here,
yeah, hopefully we can provide some good content for the fans.
for sure. So, for those of you who don't know, Trad is still pretty relatively new to the comp scene. But that being said, he has made quite the splash in it, being in 6 finals and winning 3 of those. Currently, Trad is sitting at 32nd in player rankings. And you've also played 6 unique champions since the start of the split, those being Sejuani, Viego, Xin Skarner, Lilia, and Maokai. So, not too bad. I think that's out of 4 series and 8 possible games. So that's showing off a pretty decent champ pool already for Fearless, which is pretty nice going into it.
Yeah, for sure. I think especially in Fearless, camp pool kind of starts to dwindle, more than other roles. I think the other role that is kind of comparable to it is ADC. But I think that most of the junglers play the same thing, so it's kind of tough, especially once you get into BO5s. But that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, I would say jungle and ADC definitely have those problems, like very restricting pools, in terms of like just not even just who's meta, but like the actual champs in the role itself. So yeah, and then you have to worry about the enemy jungler also taking stuff away from you during games, which is can be pretty frustrating at times for sure. Now, before I do go into the questions, I do quickly want to. I'm going to show this to everyone, but I want to show everyone how crazy your fucking solo queue looks right now. Like just not on your main, but on both accounts. Blue and orange KDAs across the board. Insane win rates, especially. I want to talk about your Skarner really quick. 73 games, 55% win rate. What the fuck? Are you just a demon on that champion? What's going on?
so I think, yeah, I guess. Um, you know, I haven't really looked at my solo queue recently, to be honest, but yeah, I'm sure it looks pretty insane. And even in the games that I'm losing in solo queue, it's still pretty good performances jungle wise. So I
Is
don't know.
he just your favorite champ, or is it just like it gets you LP and that's why you play it?
No, I hate Skarner. I hated it. I've never loved playing that champ. But when you play it over time, of course, it's gonna be comfortable for you, naturally. But I hated it. It's like I don't know.
Okay, I did not know that. I just figured, if you're gonna have that many games on a champ, maybe you somewhat enjoy it. But holy shit, hate the champ, huh?
Okay, I don't hate it, but like it's okay.
No,
Actually, you know what? I'll upgrade it. It's okay.
it's okay. It
It's
gets you
okay.
LP.
Exactly.
Um, so we're just gonna go straight into the questions. So the first one is okay. If you hate Skarner, who is your favorite jungle champ?
I mean, it has to be Viego. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a champ that I've played for so long and had so much success on. So I'd have to say Viego. It maybe Lilia as well is up there, but gotta go with Viego. I feel like.
That's fair. What got you into playing jungle? I think you had mentioned to me that you've been playing League for about like 3, 4 years now, um, and that it's only been jungle since that time. I mean, I'm just kind of curious because I've been playing this game for about I think 8 years now, and jungle has always been the most uninviting, like role ever. Like it just never has been something that seems easy to learn. So it's pretty interesting to hear someone who got into the game and immediately was like, I'm gonna be a jungler.
Yeah. The reason was, so when I started playing, I would queue up for, I forget now, but I would queue up for whatever role was there, and what I noticed is that I couldn't lane. I would die every time. I would, something would go wrong. But when I'd play jungle, I'd be able to have fun, which is, yeah, I wish I had fun now, but um, yeah, it's interesting because I just couldn't lane, and I was just like, this jungle thing is pretty fun. Let me do that." And then I kind of just never stopped because I was better at it than laning. So
Okay, that's a pretty simple answer, but I love it. It's kind of like Rudy, my support who I played with last split. There were a few times when we'd play like flex as a team, and they would start getting goofy. And I try and get Rudy to play ADC, and he's awful at CSing. Like he's gone on record with me and said like, I will not play laning. I will not role swap to laning because I cannot CS for the life of me. Like I can't fucking handle it. It's just that's pretty funny that is how you got into um playing jungle for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Currently, you guys are sitting at 2-2. Going into the split, there were a bunch of high hopes for Syndicate Watermelon and your sister team too. I mean, people were placing you guys on the list of contenders and everything like that, and it seems like currently both of these teams are kind of struggling to get their ground. Um, in specifically for your guys' team, what is kind of going on there? Like, is the group just that competitive? Are you guys struggling as a team to make the right things happen? What's been the issue there?
I mean, I think it's tough to diagnose from my end. Obviously, I can you know, blame someone and say it's their fault. But, most of the time it's not one person's fault. And I think it's probably a combination of just, mental errors and, just playing not up to the standard because we all think that we're really good players and that we should be winning. So I maybe it's just ego.
Hmm.
Um I think that's the big one. I think it's ego and not looking at it with a clear mind or an unbiased mind. So the mistakes that are there, um, which I might get into later, I'm not sure. These are things that we don't want to see because we think that we're the best team, and we're not right now. I mean, and thankfully, the Aegis format allows us not to be the best team right away, and it allows us to lose some games because, in the old Aegis format, we'd be fighting for our lives right now, and we're not really fighting for our lives necessarily
Yeah.
for at least playoffs, right? Obviously for seeding, but it's not like we're gonna lose another game and we're gonna be out of playoffs, right? And I think in that respect, I think that you know maybe that is part of the problem as well, is just that we don't feel the urgency to perform or we don't feel like we need to. Um, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not gonna call anyone out or, say
Hmm.
that they're the reason why we're losing, but I think it's multiple factors and I think when you look at it from a biased way inside the team, you're never gonna fully get a clear picture of why you're losing.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, most teams have problems that are pretty nuanced, so it can be a lot to kind of go into it. Um, Unfortunately, I haven't caught any of the games. Have they been super competitive, or has it just been like, fuck, we're making mistakes and it's just costing us games repeatedly?
I would say the games aren't that far off, right? It's not like the games are super uncompetitive or they're not there. Like from my viewpoint, I feel like jungle wise they are most of the time pretty good. Obviously there are some exceptions, but I feel like most games are okay
Hmm.
and sometimes that's fine. But I feel like there's more I maybe it's just mixed. I think it's just misexecution, and maybe that does come with time, obviously, and that comes with playing more and doing more. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, this lane is the reason why we're losing, or oh, it's a certain person in particular. I think it's just you know maybe just team fighting, but I mean, we also did pretty well last week with that, so I don't know. We're also playing Fools 5, so that might explain it a little bit. We were also playing Fools 5, so I don't know. It's tough to gauge. Well, this week will definitely be a nice little refresher to see, what's going on, and if we're gonna be able to really contend, because I feel like right now we're not in the position to,
Hmm. For sure.
unless something changes pretty quickly, and that's tough in a team like that.
That actually leads me pretty well into my next question. Next week, you guys take on your sister team in double pumpers. What and like I said, both of these teams are looking weaker than the initial tier list putting them at, right? Like I can pull them up right now. So like Zeds at the start of the split had both the syndicate teams in the only real team section there. Um, Zol even had you guys in A. And I mean, we know how that Dorado team's doing. um, so
How are they doing? I honestly don't
it
know.
has not been great for them. It has not been a strong split for them yet. And then, I mean, obviously, this is biased because it's a Spada, but a Spada even put, the sister teams going at it in finals here.
Yeah.
So, what are you expecting going into this next week here? Like, are you expecting to? Do you think you guys are the better team, or do you think
I
it's going to be a close one?
I mean, I think we're the better team, but you always have to think that you're better, or that you're going to win. Especially in a competitive environment, if you don't think you're going to win, then you've already lost, essentially.
Agreed.
And that's not saying that double pumpers aren't a good team, right? I mean, they are a good team. They haven't been meshing, I assume, and maybe they just need a little bit more time, like we do. But for me, I don't really try to focus on the other team and how they're doing, when you have so many problems internally that you need to fix with your team first.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't really care who we play next. I care about, what we're doing better
Performing,
inside the team every
yeah.
week, and the changes and adjustments that we're trying to make, and we're trying to make work. So I think, double pumpers are a good team. I respect the players on there a lot, but I think that in my eyes, we're the better team and we should win.
What do you expect the score line to look at? Like if you guys show up and play, what to the ability you think, do you think it's going to be a swift 2-0, or are you expecting a 2-1?
I think one of the teams will definitely have 2 wins by the end of it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I think
Don't
that
want to
one of the
call it
teams will
to it.
definitely have
I mean, that's all that
a
matters.
two in the score line. So I'm not really sure which one, but I guess we'll find out when you guys do. Maybe on stream.
For sure. Don't want to call it too early and maybe jinx ourselves if we believe in that, but
No,
for
no,
sure.
I am not jinxing us this week. I'm not letting I'm not letting that happen. No chance.
Um, so far this split, you guys have taken on Elysium Luna, Cape Dogs Redacted, excuse me, Oversoul, and Fools 5. Out of those teams, what team has?
Yeah, I mean, none of these games have been fun to play.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
I don't even mean that in a bad way. I mean, these games are just not fun to play right now. I mean, when you're struggling like that, the games aren't going to be fun. Um, but no, none of these games have been fun.
Okay.
Um, which, you know, that's okay. If you want the definition of fun, you can watch Spada's Monday stream for our Eternal game.
Okay. In I guess kind of switching gears, is there a specific series that really opened your guys' eyes? That was like, okay, what's going on? Like we're not working the way we should be.
Well, I feel like for us, every series has just
A
been,
struggle.
it's tough to tell sometimes. With personalities and on that team, and the team that's just around in general. I think it's tough to tell sometimes,
Hmm.
whether we're actually struggling or whether we're overreacting, or there's 100 different things that it could be. For me, I feel like it's a combo of all three. I think there is a bit of overreaction there. There's the urge to want to win now when that's not the goal. The goal is to win in playoffs, not now. I mean, you do have to win now, obviously, but
It
that
matters to a lesser degree.
right. Yeah, I mean, if you make it to playoffs and you win 3 series, you're gonna win the entire league. So, the goal is always to get there, and the goal is always to give yourself a chance in, and we've given ourselves that chance. I mean, essentially, I don't really know how we can get eliminated at this point. But we've given ourselves that chance, and now we have to ramp up and try to find a way to make things work, because right now, again, I don't feel like we're in that position. But going back to your question about what was your question again? Sorry, I think it was
What series has
which
been the most like eye opening, like the biggest learning opportunity for you guys?
dude, I don't even think there's a single series that I could. Every series has just been,
Taking small
there's
things
just
away from it, like okay, we needed to do this
yeah,
better. Yeah, no, that's acceptable too. I mean, um, sometimes it's not just one series that opens your eyes to everything that's been going on. It can be multiple series over the course of the entire split where you're like, okay, we got to fix this. We have to work on this. I noticed this. We have to really start fixing that as well. Um, so I don't think there's. I completely understand that it's not just one thing that opened your eyes to the issues, but it's been diagnosing and fixing these things through the course of the entire split there for sure.
yeah.
Um, so far, you know, what teams like if you could just say I want to face this team, who would it be? For me, like you know, I'm a bit of a hyper, maybe an overhyper of Elysium, but I think that team is on top. I really do think it's going to be an Elysium Luna finals here.
Really?
I think that team looks so fucking stacked, and I mean, so far they've been showing that they mesh really well. 4-0 match record, 8-1 game record. Like it looks really good for them. And I'm actually really excited for their upcoming match on the 10th, because they take on the other first seed in
Ooh,
Bilgewater.
that's gonna be good, isn't it? It's actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be good. I think we've seen this story, um, time and time again with the undefeated team going into playoff. I'm not saying that they're not gonna make it to finals, but that's a long bracket to go through. I guess it is only quarters for them if they do get the bye, but
Hmm.
um for me personally, I wouldn't say that they're definitively going to make finals right now, just because there's so much time between. I mean, you have this break, and then you have next week, and then you have the week after, and so much changes in those 2 3 weeks. You could, two of your players can come back and they can have a drop in form, and now your team is struggling, and you are, oh, now you've dropped 2 seeds, and now you're playing a team that's way hotter than you, and that's, now you're not favored anymore, right? All it takes is this, 1 week break to really mess up the standings. Like, it sounds crazy because, you don't see it immediately, and it's like, oh, they dropped a game to this random team, but then it turns into, oh, now they're losing series. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with Elysium, but it will happen with one of these teams. And whether it's in Isles or it's in Bilgewater, one of these teams will crash and burn. I don't know which one it is yet, but it always happens. Same with Targon and Freljord. There will be a team that is
Poised to take it
definitively at
all.
the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 seed, and they are going to crash and burn. I don't know which team it is yet, but there will be a team that'll come back from the break and that will just completely fold.
Yeah, I can kind of get behind something like that. I mean, It happened when I was on IDS in my first split in fall. You know, we went undefeated in regular season, and then we crashed the fuck out in playoffs first week, and it was a big bummer. I do kind of get what you mean, where it's like you can only stay so hot for so long. Whether it's because there was a week break, or it's just that you're kind of burning out, right? Like being on top, it's great and it has great feelings, but it also means you have to keep that form for the entire um you have to do that through the entire regular season, which is 7 weeks, and then you have to do that for all of playoffs, which in this case will be 4 weeks. So it's absolutely a very long fucking time to stay on top of your game and be the absolute best there. I could definitely see one of these teams having a massive crash out uh in quarters or in round 12. Who it will be though,
Yeah.
we do not know.
And I think that it's so just, you know, best of 3 Fearless is not the same as best of 5. And I can tell you, most of these teams, cannot play a best of 5 Fearless series. I mean, they just can't. And you get into best of 5, you don't have the champion pool to compete, and now you're just, you're getting reverse swept, or, you're getting forced to 5 games and you don't have a comfortable champion to play. Right? These Most of these teams, or you're exhausted from the fact that, you haven't played in these 5-game series before. You haven't played in these situations. So because there are teams on this, on the at the top of the standings here that have not really played in, a big competitive series. So I feel like that's one advantage we do have, is that all of us have played in, big series and, big finals and things like that. Like Sean, he won question mark. I forgot what he won, but I think he won one of the Titan Leagues. I think he won Conk. He won Conk, Espada, one slash all. Um, uh, Jerry has played in many finals. Same thing with our support. Same thing with me. So we all have the advantage of having played in these big games, in these big scenarios. So we kind of know how to not crash out. Hopefully, I guess we'll see.
Only time will be able to tell us the end result there. Um, so I do kind of want to get into the core of my show. Speak your split. What junglers right now are standing out to you as being like very solid players, and who do you think is just boosted? It doesn't have to be players you've played against in series, but just players who are playing in AAL, and you're like, wow, that guy I've played against him, he's a fraud.
There's not a lot of great names up here this split, like there's not a lot of names that I recognize.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, Queen Six is probably up there. Very good jungler. I've had a lot of great games against her in the past, and I think we're 1-2 in Eternal right now. On the jungle standings, we're probably close by now. Um, in this league as well. So yeah, I mean, I think she's very consistent. She's shown that, she can play very well in multiple different leagues, which, is tough to do. And I think that for me, it just stands out a little bit, the way that, she's played so far. And obviously her team is first, and that helps because, if you're first, obviously your rating is going to be higher and your stats are going to be higher. But yeah, I mean, I think she's played pretty well. Coco Puffs has also done pretty well on XG. That team was not in the greatest spot coming into the season, it felt like, and he's, found a way, whether it's because of him or not, to put his team in a position to win. And, you know, I respect that. That's, for that team, I feel like that was really good by him, the way that he's been playing recently. So yeah.
But no one you can really say is like, this player kind of smells, kind of reeks?
I mean, I don't know who the Oversoul jungler is, but I will say this: I hadn't played the game in 3 weeks, and I got home and
I think that's
we
Deathmaster Pones. Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just had a bad series, but well, I had a bad series too. We both had terrible series. I feel like. I feel like we were both just I think we both just showed up there and we were just like, yeah, let's run it down as hard as we possibly can. It was one of the worst series I've ever played in. Not because the enemy jungler was better, because I was so bad that I'm pretty sure I got flamed by my team mid game during that series. I'm not
Oh,
going to lie to you.
shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
because yeah, I mean, that's just usual, but you get used to it after a while. Yeah, I think that was the series where we both had one of the worst series I think I've ever seen
Okay.
from junglers ever. And
Well,
maybe I mean he is 32nd on here, so or he is where is he at? He is 41st on here, so he's not terrible, but
what's something most junglers in comp do you think they struggle with? Is it like clearing efficiently? Is it communication? Is it getting ganks off? Is it objective control? What do you think? What is like the biggest mistake you think junglers in comp make?
a lot of times, junglers try to out impact. They try to have more impact than they can have, or they think that they can do things that they can't. One of the examples is, I was playing in a series a couple nights ago, and I forgot. I think they were playing Nocturne. I was playing Lilia. The Nocturne failed one gank and his game was over. Right, because now I'm ahead on tempo. I can make a play bot side faster than he can, and now I'm up because I get the 2 kills bot side, and then this game is just over, right? Because you can just keep full clearing and you can keep invading him. And that this is one of the things where, and maybe this is just because I'm so used to playing the style and so used to playing like consistent and getting fed in these types of things. But I feel like if you make a mistake or you f up your tempo, then you're gonna lose. Just because you're not able to keep up exp wise, or you're not able to keep up objective wise. Either way, you're still gonna end up losing in the jungle just because of that. And obviously, sometimes I do not play so well. That's why I have 5 losses this split. That's why we're 5-5. But I feel like in general, junglers just struggle with stabilizing the game. And a lot of times it is go big or go home, right? Either you're gonna have a really good game or you're gonna have a really bad game. I feel like I'm more consistent than a lot of the other junglers that you see in this elo. If you played 5 or 10 games, yeah, I mean you're gonna most of the time the more consistent jungler will win. So I kind of try to stick to that and try to stick to consistency, even when sometimes I might get flamed for it. But it works. It will continue to work, and it will never stop working.
That is something I can agree with like 150%. I mean, partially because I am now Diamond 2. um, but I do think the a thing that consistently made me like on people's radars about being such a good ADC was I'm extremely consistent. I know how to get farm leads. I know how to team fight. I know how to do all of these things, and I can replicate it almost every single game. Um, and I agree. I think consistency is one of the most important parts of gameplay. And it's good to sometimes have those players who have those extremely clutch moments. I get them sometimes. I'm sure you have had them sometimes. Uh, and that's great. But sometimes you can't rely on being a clutch player every single time, right? Consistency gives us the foundation to do what we need to do and replicate other things in the game. So absolutely 100% agree that consistency is something not even just junglers struggle with, but just players in general in this elo struggle to remain consistent with their performance.
Yeah. And I think we also see that on our team. You see players that are not as stabilizing. and that's tough to play with because sometimes when you want to play the stabilizing style and you just want to scale up and play for when you are going to be stronger. Um, and someone is a bit more aggressive than you and plays off your timer and then they die. It feels really rough. But I think a spot a very stable player. That's why me and him have played for so many splits in a row now.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Same thing bot side, I would say. I don't think Jerry really, he's been having one of his best splits in a while. He's really gone under the radar, but he should be in contention for an all pro at the end of the year. He has played so well. Even though the record doesn't reflect it and it doesn't show it, he's been a really good player to play around as well as individually being a good player. So I think, those two kind of combine. And then yeah, I think in general, Sean really does try to push the limits and push the boundaries of what he can do. Um, and that's completely fair. He's a really good player. In isolation, but then you add a jungler there, and it's at points, he becomes very tough to play with. From my perspective, but that's not saying that he's a bad player or that he's boosted. He's just
Hmm.
sometimes tough to play with, and it takes a long time to adjust that kind of play style when you're trying to play stable, but he's trying to play to smack the other guy down. So I think for me, that's just kind of the way I view our team right now. And again, that's not saying that Sean's a bad player. That's just saying he's the most unstabilizing force on the team right now compared to everyone else. And that again doesn't mean he's a bad player or anything.
He's just
That
explosive. It
means
just
exactly what I said. Right.
anything could happen
Right.
with him on your team, and that's not generally a bad thing. Like sometimes it leads to insane leads that are just like, wow, we wouldn't have had this unless if you didn't do that. That's fucking crazy, right? Like it's. I do have one final question for you that you kind of touched on earlier. Um, what two teams do you think are going to make finals? I know we kind of said that it's really hard to judge, but just going off of like people you've played against or known history of other players, who do you think you expect to see in the finals here?
Well, I guess it depends on I could give you a full bracket right now, but I won't. Um I really could. Actually, do you want to do that? Do you want to do a full bracket?
Sure, fuck it. Let's
Okay,
take a
let's do it.
look.
Okay. Teams. I'll give you your quarters teams. Double pumpers, we will make it to quarters. Yeah, we'll make it to quarters.
Okay.
Double pumpers, watermelons, sharks lose. XG, Elysium, and then out of Targon. Oh wait, no, because the buy. So automatically the kittens, ID Blast Cone, and Elysium and Gorilla will already be through. So
Yeah.
those would be your four, and then it's gonna be watermelons, double pumpers, um, oh, crowd control is that high? We'll say Monkeys Mania gets a quarterfinal slot, and Dorado will get that final quarterfinal slot.
And
So I'm a little hesitant on Dorado, but I think they'll get it. For semis, I think Elysium probably makes it through. Same thing with us. Um, Again, I think if we win one series, we're probably gonna make finals. I think IDB makes it through, but they're kind of on fraud watch, so I don't know. They're probably. I think IDB is one of those teams like that can go either way, and then Dorado, I think makes it the semis. I think they're one of those teams that if they get hot, they can probably go a long way. And then for finals, I think Elysium and us will get there, and then logically, I just have to pick us, but yeah, I think Elysium is a pretty good lock right now for finals, barring like a big collapse or anything like that.
okay, so you Elysium finals is what we should be expecting.
Right now, I guess we'll see what happens, but yeah, I mean, right now I think they are favored, but obviously we will see.
For sure, only time will tell. Okay, that's pretty much it for my questions. I do want to thank you so much for coming on today. It was really fun to get to talk to you and kind of learn about just a bit of everything, kind of what's going on behind the scenes and some of the more funner stuff, your favorite champion, and kind of take a look at your solo queue really quick because I'm uh, kind of a nerd for stats here and there. But yeah, again, thank you so much for coming and speaking your split. It was really fun.
Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the content that you do for us as a league. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week.